Hello everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to December 7th live Q&A. We're glad to have you with us today. I'm going to be answering questions as I often do during this time. Let me just quick fix something here. There we go. And if you have any questions, you can type them into the comments in YouTube and I'll get to them as quickly as I can. Of course, as I always say, repeating questions over and over and over again is not a way to get them answered. I cannot and will not answer all the questions. I'll pick the ones that I think are most interesting, but I'll try to get to as many as I can. So without further ado, let's get started into them. All right, so far my questions are, hello. You love time stories, so why haven't you played Sherlock Holmes yet? I'm going to assume you mean Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and that's just because I'm having a little bit of trouble putting together a group for that. There's a lot of actually Sherlock Holmes games out at this point in time. What game have you taken the most seriously? Tournament play, getting legitimately angry, deciding this will be the time to take down Jason, etc. I've played in tournaments before. I once played in a few smaller tournaments in Korea. I think I took those seriously. I've gotten angry in games before, to my shame usually. But I try not to take games very seriously at all. Have you ever made your way up to Canada? I have not. Well, okay, no, that's not true. I was in Canada last year. I crossed the border at Niagara Falls and went across to the Canadian side and then went a little bit farther north to a restaurant in Canada. It was an Italian restaurant and it was actually quite a good Italian restaurant. But for the most part, I have not been to Canada. I am planning to visit Toronto this year. If I get a chance, I would like to see Snakes and Lattes and the Blue Jays. So, all right. Where do I get my hats? Well, whenever I go to the store, I look for hats. But I have also gotten several of them online too. Let's see here. What do you think of the future of D&D Attack Wing? The releases are slower, 1 per month instead of 3, and WizKids are promoting their other games more. I fear for it. I really do. I hope that it's going to be strong, but I wonder if it's sold well enough for WizKids to continue to make it. Do you have a favorite seasonal game? Do you mean Christmas game? I don't know what that means. You have to clarify more. How has YouTube Red changed your revenue? I don't know, for a couple reasons. One, YouTube revenue is not that much anyway, but it's great enough that it's nothing. Secondly, revenue from YouTube is always months behind, just on the basis of how it is. So I won't know till who knows when. Especially since everyone gets the first month of YouTube Red for free. I know that I really like YouTube Red, and I will continue using it because it's nice. As someone who uses YouTube all the time for a lot of different reasons, it's nice not to have those ads up. I'll tell you that for sure. So I will continue to pay for it when my free month's up. It may be up now. Or, okay, so you're asking, should I watch your videos with my ad-free YouTube Red account or standard ad-based YouTube account? You do what you want to do. I never push advertisements on people. Watch the free one. And then take the money and give it to us in the Kickstarter. I'd rather the money come from the Kickstarter anyway. TMNT Dice Masters review coming soon. I don't have the game yet, so not likely. Although I might ping WizKids and see if it's coming soon. YouTube is certainly buzzing around here. Do conventions like Gen Con or Essen have problems with shoplifters, or are board gamers generally good people? Well, people are people, and there's always going to be problems. At Dice Tower Con one year, it wasn't last year, but I know one year someone walked off with 11 games. Shoplifting is always a concern. People tend to be trustworthy, at least in the board gaming realm. In the collectible card game realm, it's much worse, especially at conventions like Gen Con. At Gen Con, you have to be careful because there are professional rings of thieves. I've heard many, many tales of people losing very valuable collections. I mean, I wouldn't even take my valuable collection at Gen Con. I wouldn't want to carry something of that worth around. But like, for example, there's a kid who has and a guy walks up to him and says, "Is that a rare whatever?" The kid says, "Sure." The guy's like, "Can I see it?" So the kid hands it to the guy. The guy turns around and walks away. The kid's all flustered and blah, blah, blah. by the time he, because he wasn't expecting that, by the time he can go and yell, the guy's gone. But even if they find the guy, what are they going to say? That's my card? No, that's my card. They have guys who will distract someone while someone else grabs their whole card. The stuff is moved up to hotel rooms, and there's nothing you can really do unless it's caught on camera. To some degree, there's, what can you do? So it's a very unsettling thing, and I've heard from a lot of people. There's a lot of crossover between board gamers and Magic, and so I've heard a lot of complaints from those people in that regards. As for board games, I've talked to publishers about this. There is some theft, although not as much. Although it's kind of odd because these games are just sitting out there for people to take, and but it's not like a store. Besides, usually theft is small items, things you can slip into coats and things, and that's not as a big of a deal at conventions usually, especially with the bigger board games. I will be doing a review of Big Box El Grande soon. What's the difference between approved, excellent, and into my collection for your reviews? Well, approved means it is ranked 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. Excellent means 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10. The top 3 ratings are very rare comparatively, so that's why it may seem like there's more ratings, but definitely more go into the approval. I like all these games. Into my collection is usually excellent, but it just means exactly that. It's going into my collection. People always ask about that, so I decided to do that. For your upcoming marathon, is there a way that you could set up an on-the-fly voting system to determine what gets played game to game? No. In fact, let me be somewhat more emphatic about that. 100% no. And I'll tell you why. There's several reasons involved in this. When we do this marathon, now I've been planning to do this for months, okay, but been toying with the idea, okay, but we need to have the game set up. This is what we're going to play. This is what we're going to play. We want to make the viewing of this the maximum enjoyment. So we've learned lessons from both the past marathons, okay? Problems with both of them. We are going to start in the morning this time rather than starting at night so that we start strong and we're fresh. And then the hard part is at the end, and we hopefully can make it through that part. We are going to all, or at least one of us, strongly know the rules to all the games that we play. You will see probably half party games get played. But I will not let people pick games because some people vote on a game. Then there'll be someone there like, oh, I don't want to play it. I want the people there to also enjoy the games that are being played. So I'm going to be working on this and have a schedule made up for it. I hope it's enjoying for you, but I don't want people to vote on it. Why not have people vote on what we eat and things like that? I don't know that I want to do that at this point. Maybe some other time or some other place, but for this to go off well, I need to have it well planned. Do I think there will be another expansion to Lords of Waterdeep? I do not think so. I think WizKids has always been very skittish about anything that doesn't make Magic the Gathering money. So they will start something, they'll maybe do an expansion or two, then it will fade away. For this very reason, well, Hasbro, I think Wizards of the Coast is, yeah, they're on the box for Magic the Gathering, the board game, but I'm worried about that. I'm sure we're going to see some expansions very soon, and I'm excited to see those expansions, but I would be really surprised if that lasted for more than 2 years. Just because they always do that sort of thing, and I don't know. Does your family have any weird, different, or cool Christmas traditions you're looking forward to? I don't think we have anything weird that we do for Christmas or different. We celebrate Christmas in a very traditional manner. So, yeah, I mean, we put up stockings. We've already put up the Christmas tree. Nothing majorly. We go to church on Christmas Eve. I wouldn't say we do anything unusual. Are the Nothing Personal expansions compatible with First Edition? They're compatible, just that the cards are slightly different size. I'm not sure how that happened. I've emailed Game Salute about it, and they said that there was a change to that. So I don't know. The little ones are the little expansions. I mean, they're compatible. You'll just notice the card size difference. You can sleeve them to fix it, or the second edition, they work. I apologize, but that is a Game Salute issue, so you'd have to take it up with them. I didn't even know it happened until someone emailed me about it. What happened to the top 10 movies list you posted last week? It took down. Well, we, on this particular one, Sam edited the top 10 movies, and we did top 10 dramas and posted it. We exported it and posted it, and then when we posted it, people said all the directors are wrong. I don't know how the directors are wrong. I mean, we do make mistakes in these occasionally, but to get them all wrong. So for some reason, he had done it on a template of an older top 10, and it brought in all the directors from that one. So he's like, all right, so we pulled it down, and we quick deleted all the directors. I said, fine, we won't put up any directors at all, and we'll just post it with no directors. We exported it, checked it before the program had added back all the directors again. So it was really frustrating. So Sam went and rebuilt the whole thing, and we'll be posting it this week. I don't know why that happened. It was iMovie actually that caused those problems, but we are all moving slowly from iMovie to Final Cut Pro. I'm already completely in Final Cut Pro, and so is and Z's moving there and Sam's moving there too. So it shouldn't be an issue in the future. We'll probably still have computer glitches. Sometimes things, we export them and something will change or not look the same way. That was kind of a big one, so I pulled it down as fast as I could. You'll just see it this week. Apologize about the delay. But it means, hey, there's more stuff to look forward to this week. Is Merchants and Marauders still the definitive pirate game? I don't think so. I mean, I like it, but I mean, for me, pirate game for me is the Rum and Bones right now. I really like that one. What are the 2 games you have not played on the BGG Top 100 list? Yes, I posted. Someone was asking, like, what games have they played in the Top 100 list? So let me just pull up the Top 100 list. It's actually 2.5 games. I say 2.5 because a Game of Thrones 2nd edition is up there. I never actually played the 2nd edition, but I played the 1st edition many times with the expansions. It's essentially the same game with some minor changes. So I'm counting it as I played that one. That's number 41. Let's see. Number 63. Oh, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is one that people were asking about just previously. And Here I Stand, which is number 90. I have played all the rest of the top 100. Let's go to the... I have not played 106, Navigador. I haven't played 111, Blood Bowl, Living Rulebook, or Imperial 2030. I'll never play that one because I didn't like Imperial. 1830, which is 119. Advanced Squad Leader, I've not played. I've not played 3rd edition Space Hulk. Civilization, In the Year of the Dragon. Sekigahara, The Unification of Japan. Antiquity. Maria, Indonesia, Roads and Boats, Agizia, Glenmore. That one I do plan to play at some point, and Vinhos. And by the way, just to stave this off, I know some people in the comments are going to go, well, you should play blankety blank, whatever one of those games that is said. I have plans to play none of them, with the exception of Glenmore. Really. So, sorry. Does Armada still beat out X-Wing for me? Definitely. Still not got the Imperial Star Destroyer, but that is on my list to get at some point or other because it's an amazing, cool ship. Do you have any updates on Royals reprinting? I know that the files are finished. It is on its way to the printer. I know that Onitama is being printed as we speak. It might be done very soon, so you should see that very early Q1. I've gone over a list. You're going to see a lot of the Dice Tower Essentials games being published in 2015. What do you think about 2015 for games? Well, I believe that is coming up this coming week. Actually, that gives me an idea. Not this week, but next week. This week we're posting our top 10 gaming experiences from 2015, which is fun. Those kind of lists are always fun for us to do. Next week, you'll see some more stuff, so we'll get to that. Do you still find the time now and then to play Hearthstone? You know, when it comes to apps, I don't play apps. I kind of go on and off. For example, for a while I was just playing Final Fantasy VII. And I was playing it. Yes, I know they're remaking it. That's exciting. But playing it. And I really buffed myself up, and I got to the Emerald weapon, and he is beating me currently. And I know I can beat him. And so that game just paused for me for a while. Other than that, I'm playing Boom Beach. I play that every day, usually just for a few missions. I don't play much on the iPad, but I might go back to Hearthstone. It all depends. I kind of go in spurts with my iPad applications. But I've been using the iPad mostly these days to read. I've just been reading book after book after book. I also read the comic books on it, and I think reading is the better thing to do anyway. And so I don't know, I've just been really on this reading kick. Is my Board Game Geeks game collection accurate? For example, are you regularly updating what goes in and out of your collection? It's pretty accurate as of 3 or 4 months ago, and no, I have not been updating it as much. I just don't think about it. I say this game goes in, this game goes out. I don't run over and update my collection because it's just a very low priority for me. But it's pretty accurate. Hi Tom, I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Do you have a pre-defined strategy when you build your spaceships in Galaxy Trucker? No, I don't. I will say that I usually try to look for the modules that go in 4 different directions and get as many of those out quickly so that I can spread out to the back of the ship. I think engines are more important than anything else, so I usually try to get a bunch of engines going, and other than that, I just grab stuff that I think looks cool and put it on the ship because that's fun. Oh boy. Okay guys, I'm very sorry, there's a lot of questions here and I am falling behind so very quickly. Alright. When setting up a game group at the house of 4 to 5 people, what are good snacks you would suggest now that you've been on a diet? Well for me, I would either not snack at all at that point in time. I usually drink water now. That keeps me from being too hungry. If I was going to snack, I'd just bring some vegetables without dip. Other people can do what they want. I do not ever want to turn into one of these people who like imposes what they do on others, because that's kind of annoying for everyone around. Oh, can we eat healthy for a change? Well, yeah. Wherever we go, eat healthy there. You know, almost every restaurant has some healthy dishes, and this is something that I learned. So I might bring some snacks, but I would not impose those on other people. Any plans on bringing Board Game Geek Con to England? No, mostly because I'm not in charge of Board Game Geek Con. BoardGameGeek.com is in charge of that. I think you meant Dice Tower Con, and no. We're very content running one of them. Will you review Epic yourself? I probably will. I have it on my list of games to play. I just have not played it yet. Do you have a favorite seasonal game? Okay, there's that back to that question. A certain game you like playing particularly this time of the year or for certain other holidays? No, I don't. For me, growing up, Christmas was always a time where we played lots and lots of party games. So party games feel Christmassy to me. But there's no game that I would play at one time of the year and not another time. How come you say friendly local game store? I've never heard of friendly local bakery or friendly local supermarket. Are online game stores unfriendly? Well, they can be. Cool Stuff is not. But we say friendly local game store because there are many local game stores that are not friendly. It's an unfortunate thing. You said you don't mention friendly local bakery. That's because I've never gone to a bakery and been like, I like to order that, and the guy like sighs as he gives it to me. But I've been to game stores. I've been to game stores where I've gone and stood by the counter and waited because the guy was in the back playing a game. I've gone to game stores where I thought about buying something and I got a long lecture on why I should or should not buy it. That's not friendly, and so that's why we distinguish, and I promote friendly local game stores, but I do not promote all local game stores. Have you ever done a review just to get a more positive review out there for a game you like when someone else in the Dice Tower group gave that game a negative review? I don't think so. I mean, I will review games that I want to review, period. So I don't know that I've ever gone on my way to review a game I wasn't planning to review anyway. Are you and Sam really coming to the UK Games Expo? No. Yes, we are. Huzzah! They said, will you have a booth there? I think we got some sort of booth, although I don't know what we will have at the booth. I'm still talking to UK Games Expo about what events we'll be in charge. That we'll be involved with. We will be playing games, I'm assuming, some of the time, but we will also be involved in events. Is there a timeline for the Runebound review? My goal is to have it up not this week, but next week. I really plan to get it up, so keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Some of you are not following instructions and asking questions multiple times. I don't know what it is about that. I can tell. Will you be posting playthroughs of all the Time Stories cases? I think so. I will say that we really enjoyed the Marcy case. I heard some negative things from people about it. We really enjoyed it, and we really did not have a stellar playthrough. You'll see when we post those this week. Just you'll just have to watch and see how those go. It's very intriguing, and one of the three of us is going to be a shining star of you should have listened to that person. You'll see how that works out. What were the top 10 disappointments of 2015? Well, I'll mention probably my biggest disappointment. I don't think there's a top 10 disappointments. No, just one. Well, we'll talk about that in one of my shows. Which of the following comic book shows do you watch? Do you watch The Flash? No, my kids do. Arrow? No, my kids do. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? No, but I probably will at some point. Agent Carter? No, but I will at some point. Supergirl? No, but my kids do. Gotham? Sometimes. iZombie? No. Daredevil? I've watched part of it. Jessica Jones? I watched part of it. Daredevil was dark, and I plan to go through and continue watching it. Jessica Jones was too dark for me. I stopped watching it, and I know some people say, oh, it gets amazing, blah, blah, blah. It was too slow, way too dark, and I just found it very uncomfortable and just wasn't very superhero-y to me. I'm more on the end of where I like Marvel superhero stuff, the cheerful end of it. Let's see. I have not played Tail Feathers yet. Sam and Jason did, but we have not. We decided not to post a review till we get some more plays of it in. Will I be doing a review of the Carson City Big Box? It is in my queue. I would certainly like to do that. How different is Jason on camera versus off camera? He's way more nervous when he's on camera, that's for sure. He's not totally natural in front of the camera yet. He'll get there. But the way you see him on camera is the way he is all the time, unless he's super tired. My friends and I are attempting to break the world record for longest gaming marathon. If we get it, can we get a shout out on Board Game Breakfast? I don't know. I'm not promising anything, actually. You do it, we'll see what happens. I highly recommend against doing it. I don't know why anybody would want to do such a thing. To get yourself in a World Book of Records is not that exciting, I don't think. Hi Tom, I didn't get a chance to say hello to you this year at BGGCon, but I noticed you spent much of your time playing games than in the previous years. Was there any reason for the change? I just felt like it. Also, I came back with so many games from Essen that I had to play games. I have to justify what I do with my time, and so I wanted to play games as much as possible. Also, I said, I get flack sometimes because I don't play games at conventions. This is the one convention I could. I didn't have to talk to the publishers because I had just talked to them at Essen, and besides, I went around early at BGGCon, talked to the publishers, and each day I went around and talked to some more and stuff, but I didn't need to worry about that as much. I just wanted to get some games played. What was the last old game you played that you were unaware of before? I don't know, I apologize. Weird Christmas things. Don't you pickle eggs? I do, but I don't do that for Christmas. I do it for Thanksgiving. Do you have tickets for Star Wars yet? Who are you going with? Well, I do have tickets for Star Wars, and who am I going with? Well, we're all going together. The cool stuff for their staff in Maitland is having, they basically bought out a whole theater. So we're driving up there to me and my family, Sam and his family, Z, Jason. We're all going to go up there and watch together in the theater. It sounds like it's going to be super fun, because watching it with a bunch of other geeks, I think, is the best possible experience. I'm going to have to do la 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 in my ears for a while before we get to that point. But we're going to make a little bit of a family vacation out of it. We're going to go up for a couple days to Orlando. Before we do that, I'm thinking about taking my kids to Cape Canaveral, because they haven't been there yet, and I think it's important that they see that place because it's really amazing. Why don't you make the future game marathon a charity event? I guess my question would be, why would I make it a charity event? We do lots of different things for charity, but I don't know why marathon necessarily has to equal charity. Is that so that it's more palatable, that, you know, oh, well, it's not so bad because we're doing this for charity? I hope that we've done a lot for charity, and we are planning to do more for charity as the year goes by for the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. Why didn't you review the expansion for Imperial Assault, Twin Shadows? Well, there's a couple of reasons. It's because the expansions for Imperial Assault are a little bit more difficult to review. At some point, I will probably review it, but because there's much more involved, and nowadays I'm playing Imperial Assault almost exclusively as the two-player battle game, I just haven't got to it. I plan to, but we'll see. Do you follow any current comic series? Well, I follow Marvel, but you got to remember, I am 6 months behind because I am reading Marvel Unlimited on the iPad, a subscription service, so it's 6 months behind, but that's great because each week when all the new comics come out, I can pick whichever comics I want to read. So I'm currently following this whole Secret War nonsense, and I'm reading all the comics for Secret Wars. The Secret Wars is the most convoluted story that Marvel has ever told, and that's pretty impressive considering their last one, where they had the war against the Gardeners, or whatever they were called, was incredibly complex, although that kind of led to this one. It's super complex, and I'm hoping Marvel can dial down on this idiotic cross going all over the place, and this Secret Wars, this Battle World. I mean, I like Marvel, but come on. I know they're rebooting all of the comics. I hope that's good. I hope that they streamline things a bit. I wouldn't mind if they killed off 200 characters or so. They have way too many, but they never kill any, and they add a new one all the time. Sounds like I'm complaining a lot about Marvel. I still do really enjoy reading them. It just, I don't know. I feel like it's like, let's get through the Secret Wars thing. The main Secret Wars comic line is very interesting. It's all these side ones, and they're just, it's like they took all the characters in a blender and just threw them off into different things. And yes, got to get zombies in there and whatever. Questions and answers on Dice Tower Audio, please. Well, I'll explain to you why I don't put them on Dice Tower Audio. Because everything we do on the Dice Tower, and I explained this somewhere else. Oh, I just did it on the Dice Tower itself. I answered a question on this exact same thing, but we haven't posted that yet. But the reason we don't put this on Dice Tower Audio is because I only have so much time. When I put things on Dice Tower Audio, I'm editing them off camera, right? I'm editing them on my computer. I export the audio, I levelate that audio, I put it back in, and then, so to put it on Dice Tower Audio, I already have the audio. Boom, I put it there. To do it here with the live Q&As, I already have the, I just stream right to YouTube. So to get the audio, I would have to download the audio off YouTube, then work with that audio, then re-upload it. And yes, I know 4 or 5 people are very intrigued in this, but that would be another 20 minutes added to my week each week, and I'm trying to be, you know, economical with my time. So that's why it doesn't happen. I just don't have the time to do it. With the international viewership growing, when will the Dice Tower go metric? Well, I don't actually know. I'm really bad at the metric system. I don't know what the metric unit for views is. I know the English version is I have 1 million views on videos. I don't know what the metric equivalent of that is. Also, when I do the hours and minutes, when I talk about how long our shows are, I'm also not really sure what the metric equivalent of that is. So I apologize if you can help me out on that. Maybe I can transform those to the metric units, and that will help everybody else out. What's the best place on the internet for an artist to find a board game designer to draw for? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Maybe bgdf.com, Board Game Designer Forum. Also, email me if you're an artist. How many gallons of milk have you gone through recording the breakfast intro? Less than 1, I'm sure. Is it worth trying to find a copy of Thunderstone Advance or wait for a reprint? I don't know that AEG has any plans to reprint Thunderstone Advance anytime soon. Now, don't hold me to that. I do not know if they do or not. But it doesn't seem like they do, so I might hunt that one down if you want to play it. What is your own experience with con crud and how to avoid it? I don't know that con crud is avoidable. We get into this debate because there's a few people on the Board Game Geek staff and Richard Ham, Rado, who insist at conventions to fist bump. Because he tells me, and Rado told me he's going to get that to take the world by storm, fist bumping. Well, they've been doing it for years now and it hasn't taken over yet because, anyhow. I never understood how fist bumping is more hygienic than shaking hands. Because, I mean, I know that a lot of people, when they wash their hands, they do this, right? They're not necessarily washing here, so it seems like that part of the hand would be dirty. So I don't see that. I mean, if you're really worried about getting germs, then just carry around some hand sanitizer. And when you're done shaking someone's hands, use it in front of them like this. No, but I mean, that's what I do. For me, when I go on a convention, I take vitamins now. And I drink water. And I try to go to bed at a reasonable hour. I'll tell you what, a lot of people get con crud because they do not live healthily during convention times. They overwork themselves. They stay up to all hours. Some of them forget to eat. I'm not saying any particular person, but I know people that are like, oh, I don't know why I got sick. I've gotten sick at conventions, but usually the 2 times that I've gotten sick at a convention, I was sick before I went to the convention. I haven't necessarily got sick at a convention. I come back from them exhausted, but again, that's where eating healthy and things like comes into play. With news of the Gen Con expansion, is there a chance we will see it supplant the Essen Spiel Fair as the #1 convention in the industry at some point in our lifetimes? Well, at the risk of opening up this can of worms again, why do you think Essen is the #1 convention in the industry? Gen Con is already bigger than Essen. It is. Now, but every time that people get all flustered, but Essen had 190,000 people, or whatever the numbers are, they said, I think 161,000 people. That's 161,000 turnstiles, where basically if I go to Essen for 5 days, they check my badge 5 times. Gen Con released that same number last year, and it was also that same number. They are equivalent. Gen Con is actually slightly bigger. Now, in the board game specific industry, Essen is definitely bigger. There are way more games released there, and everybody goes there. Not everyone goes to Gen Con. However, some companies go to Gen Con with a much bigger splash than they ever do at Essen. And there's role-playing games and miniature games and the hobby. It's a very big thing for the hobby, especially because it's during the summertime. I think they are already equivalent. Gen Con is increasing in size, Essen is too. I don't think it's any kind of battle to see who wins, but I think they're the 2 most important conventions in the industry, at least the ones that you can go to. I mean, I think there's some very important trade shows and such, but they're certainly just as important. Back in the 80s, there was a lot of criticism of fantasy games and books by religious organizations. Do you hear any of that today, and how do you respond to it? I really do not hear much of that today. I definitely know about it in the 80s, and I've certainly read, I probably read more about it than anyone watching this video right now, but I do not see it today, to answer that question. Did Z really run over his copy of Fury of Dracula 2nd edition? That is the story. And of course, now I just dropped all the way to the bottom. So let's catch up to the top here and see if I can get to some of these questions here. The top 100 hats of all time? Oh, I'd love to have that many hats so I could do it. Do any of the Dice Tower gang like Chinatown? I actually don't know what Z's opinion is. I know Sam is probably not a fan of it. I like it. I don't play it much anymore because it simply it's very unforgiving, and I played it with the decent amount of people who did not like it, and it kind of ruined the experience for me. I kept playing with people and they weren't enjoying it that much, and I realized that if you make a mistake in Chinatown, you don't do very well. I like it, but I don't know. It does also feel slightly dated. I'm not sure why. Is it worth it to import Stellar Conflict from Europe? I don't think so. I feel confident you will see it in America at some point. Very confident on that regard. I'm also really excited for the new Haba games and don't want to wait. Please wait. They are coming and they will be available. I'm sure of it. And that's all I can say in that regard. Some of you guys are asking, have you played a specific game? But I would feel that if you wonder if I play a game, it's easy to search our website to see if I reviewed it or not. Do you have any gaming-related New Year's resolutions? I don't really often make New Year's resolutions. I don't see any reason to wait. Like, for example, I could have started this weight loss thing and waited till New Year's Eve. But why? I'm going to do it now. I don't see any reason to wait. Everyone's doing New Year's resolutions and things. The month of January is miserable for many people. I just think you should, if you're going to make a resolution, start it now. That's another question. Can we see a review of... I'm just going to read this question because this one says, can we see a review of Battlelore 2nd Edition? We have not only reviewed it, we've done a live playthrough of it. So before you ask, double check when you go through here. Have you considered putting a rough estimate of when a game will be available in your reviews? Often with bigger games, there are gaps of 3+ months between your reviews and a general release. I apologize, but no, I've never considered that because I have no idea, and then I might say this is when it's supposed to come out, and then it would be delayed for whatever reason, and then my review is weird. And then also, the review's long tail is kind of weird because people look at it and pass, like, I don't care when it's coming out. So no, I apologize. I don't know often when they're going to hit general release. What is an example of a game that you found hard to formulate a review of? 504 is the hardest one I've done a review of in a long time, for sure. Usually any heavy game, I have a harder time doing a review, which is why I spread them out and don't do a whole lot of them a week. Like this week, I'm reviewing Tricarion, and that's a pretty hefty game, and so that one I'm going to be putting more time into than many of the other games I'm doing. Chris says, I'm pretty upset that you spoiled the thematic genre of Marcy Case in a previous video. Please think twice before sharing such details. I'm just not sold on this one, Chris, and I'll tell you why. Because A, you know the theming of the Marcy Case like 5 seconds into the game. And B, I think it's an important theme to tell people because some people hate that theme. And so why should they buy this if they're not interested in it? I mean, the first one is horror asylum. If you don't like horror, then don't play that one. The third one is fantasy. So fast forward 5 seconds because I'm about to say it again. The second one is zombies. Okay? And I think that's important that people know that. That doesn't spoil anything about the case at all. Nothing. But it's in the game. And so I think that's important for people to know. Have you read any Ted Dekker books? Yes, not a huge fan of them, actually. Did you know you get free music streaming from Google Play All Access if you're paying for YouTube Red? It's awesome. Just a heads up. I don't even know what that is. Free music streaming from Google Play All. What's the difference between that and, say, Pandora? Isn't Pandora already free to some degree? I guess I pay for Pandora to get rid of the ads, but that's pretty close. I mean, you don't have to pay for the ads. I don't know. Is Google Play better than Pandora? Pandora works on my car radio. That's why I like it so much. How do you store your Cosmic Encounter collection? Well, I'm really looking forward to storing it I was looking at the dataless insert, and that looks like it stores it really well. Why do you use music in the intro to Board Game Breakfast featuring the worst instrument on the planet, the accordion? Why you? I love the accordion, so back off. You know what? You know why people don't like the accordion? Because they almost only hear the accordion played like polka music and stuff, but the accordion is an incredible instrument. If you've ever heard someone a master of accordion, it is marvelous, and I love the accordion. I think it's great, and I picked that music specifically because I like the accordion. Ha ha ha! The worst instrument. Boo! What's my favorite Marvel story? Well, not easily, because now I think the Civil War keeps moving up there. But my favorite is Age of Apocalypse. I really like Age of Apocalypse. Number 2 is the Civil War. I really like both those storylines. I found them very enjoyable. I like the original Secret War, although I actually like the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War better. Infinity Crusade, no. But Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War, I liked both of those. X-Men, can't remember the name of it, but the one where Hope Summers, not Hope Summers, her name's not Hope Summers, but where Hope is, well, she takes the name Summers later on, but where Hope is born, that is the best X-Men story in regular canon, I think. I really like that one a lot. And I also like, forget the names of all these. But there's a lot of really good storylines. I like big storylines a lot, and I always have high hopes for them, and then they often seem to be dashed, these high hopes. I did like Avengers vs. X-Men. I thought that one was a good one. Have you planned any major changes to your January Kickstarter? I don't know if I've planned major changes. There's going to be changes to it. I'm still working on it, but I just got another box of promos today, so that's good. And we got some cool things, different things, new things. I think we have a couple new things that are really cool. Other than that, we'll see. Do you have episodes 35 to 52 of the Dice Tower podcast? They're missing online. They've been missing online for a long time. I used to repost the old podcast. At some point, I may just throw them up in their form. I was planning to redo them, but there was certain issues behind the scenes why those aren't up currently. I'm just going to probably post them at some point. Do you have any advice for playing with kids who are incredibly sore losers? In fact, not even just sore losers, but rather sore game is not going my ways. I'm assuming you're talking about your own kids, because when you're dealing with someone else's kids, it's a very different thing. When dealing with my own kids, I don't tolerate it. I do not tolerate sore losing in my house, period. And so it's possible that I may dance around the table doing a victory jig if I win against a sore loser. But I'm teaching my kids to cheer for each other, to be happy, but to trash talk. Hey, there's nothing wrong with trash talking, but it should all be in fun and entertaining. And they certainly try to win, but they don't. I think as they get older, most of them are getting out of that sore loser thing. I hope. My favorite Star Trek episode. I don't know that. There's. Okay. Is it Encounter at Farpoint? No, that's the first one. I forget the name of them. But the season finale and then season beginning when they first met the Borg for the very first time. That was just like, what is this? It was really, really cool. When Riker says fire, great moment. Great moment. That's a really good one. Let's see here. And there goes the questions again. Oh, I'm not that far ahead. Okay. Let's see. Elbow bump or head nod are safer than fist bumping or handshaking. Well, yes, but you know what? You just come across weird or rude that way. And I'll take the chance. I'll shake your hand if you shake my hand at a convention. Although nowadays people are starting to hug too at conventions. I think that may be an American thing. I got to hug that BGG con. I don't remember getting hugged that much at Essen. And I think it's certain parts of America too, because in the New York, Pennsylvania, East Pennsylvania area, you're lucky for me to be in the same room as you, then hug you. When the only person I hugged when I was a kid was my mom and my dad. When I went down south and people just walked up to me and hugged me, it was very odd and off-putting at first. I'm getting used to it, but it's still very odd. The Dice Hour Con will be my first board gaming convention, says Jacob. My girlfriend who also plays games, will be attending as well. She likes to cosplay. In years past, have there been any people in cosplay? Well, if you don't count the weird hats that me and Eric wear, I don't think so. I don't promote cosplaying at the convention. I don't know that we would say no to it. I mean, I would like to get something along the lines of battling tops, which, guys, you got to watch that video tomorrow. It's really good. Okay, so tomorrow, come back and watch the battling tops video. I think that there is such thing as inappropriate cosplay. I'm not a fan of that. But I don't know. There's just not much of a Dice Tower Con. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying there's not a lot of it there. Oh, metric time an hour is 1.64 decaseconds. Okay, thank you. I will try to work with that now. Maybe, does YouTube use that in the times? We'll see. Have ever been starstruck by anyone in the board game industry or media? I think the first time you meet people, especially when you first get into industry, I remember the first time I was walking in Origins. This was a decade ago. And this guy called me over to the table and said, "Hey, you're Tom Vasel. I read your review in Arkham Horror. Great job on it." And I was like, it was Richard Launius, and I was like, wow, this guy, wow, Richard Launius. And then he was like, do you want to play a prototype? And I was like, yes, please. And it was very exciting to me. Now I know Richard, I see him all the time at conventions. We go out to eat and do different things. But at the time, it was just, I remember that being like a starstruck moment for me. Other than that, I guess nowadays, I'm just realizing that all these people are just ordinary folks. So I'm still very pleased to meet them, and sometimes I'm excited to meet someone like, oh, I love your stuff, your games, or whatever. But I don't know if starstruck is necessarily the right word. Tom, you say you're reading a lot. Anything you've been reading to or with your kids? My kids read. Melody reads all sorts of stuff. I think she's reading. She's reading that book right now. I saw it about Brendan Fraser made a movie about it, the Ink Blot or Ink Stain or Ink Dragon or whatever. I know she's reading that right now. No, we read different things. Sometimes I will promote stuff to them, and sometimes I'll say, hey, you're reading this book. Like Amy was looking for a book report, and so I buy like classic books sometimes, or I consider them classics. Like, for example, The Cricket in Times Square, classic book. And Amy said, this doesn't look that interesting. I'm like, you're reading it. Because I want my kids to experience great books. Ooh. I like that. What is your favorite worst character from the BattleTech universe? Oh, thanks for asking that. Now realize I have not read the new Jump forward. I guess not that new now. It's probably 10 years now since they started writing this new Jump. But the last I read, Victor Davian was still in. And I'm going to say My favorite character, easy, is Kay Allard. Why am I forgetting his other name? Kay Allard. He has a double last name. Anyway, Kay is my favorite character easily. I like him because he's humble and he's an amazing pilot, and he's a lot of fun to read. I like Victor Davian a lot too, and he's a close second, especially the nonsense he pulled after the invasion of the clans coming back. I really enjoyed that. My least favorite character, I guess if you're saying my least favorite, like I love the hate, I mean Katrina Steiner. She's so annoying. If there's a character that's just a pain in the neck that I wish something would happen, it would probably be Thomas Merrick, because that guy just, come on now. Listen, seriously, all these interesting things are going around and he's just basically like, So, I love that universe though. It's a lot of fun. Do you still have space for new games in your game room? Nope, I do not. What's your opinion on Kickstarter? Have you gone in on any and been burned? I don't know that I've been burned yet, but I will say that stuff doesn't always work out. Like, I don't kickstart games mostly. I kickstart other stuff. So I try to kickstart something. I say, is this money that I'm kickstarting this, can I part with this money? I can? Okay, great. I part with that money, and if it comes in, it comes in. If it doesn't, life goes on. Now stop sending me updates. So I usually have some, I don't believe I've been burned on a Kickstarter yet. Now, of course, there's several that are still out there. I've kickstarted hot sauces. I've kickstarted suitcases, which they've now delayed again. I was really hoping to use them for conventions next year. I'm hoping to get them in time. I've kickstarted a jacket. So there's just some different things. When it comes in, it comes in. I'm not so worried about it. Is the 5 Tribes expansion necessary or unnecessary? I will go with necessary for me, but not necessary if you like the game. How often are you unable or unwilling to finish playing a game that you are playing for the first time because it's just that bad? I would say 1 out of 50 games is that way. There is a decent amount that is like, wow, this game is that bad. We don't need to finish it, but it happens. Has there ever been a game too heavy for you to review? I don't know, but there have been games that have been too heavy that I did not wish to review them and pass them along. A good example would be CO2. It was just too cerebral for me, and I didn't want to deal with that, so that one I gave to Ryan Metzler. I believe he reviewed it. What is the worst instrument? I think I'd be... Okay, well, I can tell you right now. The worst instrument in existence is the recorder. Because whoever decided that all kids should learn to play these horrific ear destroyers... But that's not really an instrument. That's just like a kid's toy. And I know there's YouTube videos of people playing the recorders in awesome ways. I don't know that there's necessarily any bad instrument. I think all instruments have their uses at different times. For example, bagpipes can be really annoying, but when bagpipes are played well, it sounds really good. I think the harmonica can get annoying but in some circumstances, the harmonica sounds really good. The pan pipes, they can be really frustrating at certain points to hear them, but a pan pipe played in a certain fashion, I think, can do really well. And I think that's what I like, is like to hear instruments being played well together. I think a flip side would be like, what instrument would I like to hear all the time? I love the trumpet. I wish there was more trumpets in music. I feel that music itself, I feel like it's ridiculous that so much of our music is the guitar, the electric guitar, the drums, and the keyboard. Why? There's a vast variety of music out there, and I think bands and things that use more instruments, that incorporate a brass section, that incorporate violins, that incorporate various forms of percussion and things, that really elevates music, in my opinion. I like to hear unique and interesting things. One of my favorite Christmas CDs is the 12... Oh, okay. I'm not very good at answering questions when I can't, like when the name slips my mind. I have my phone on me. But it's a 12, I think it's 12 girls band. I believe they're from Japan. Where they just have these really unusual, interesting, mostly oriental instruments, and they play Christmas songs, and I really enjoy them. All right. Whoa, time is almost up here. I did not realize that was so quick. Best of Both Worlds from the Next Generation for Star Trek. Thank you. That was my favorite, I think. Oh, let's see here. What are these amazing promos you speak of for Kickstarter? Yes, we have promos that will be for the people who back our Kickstarter. That will be starting in January. That's not far away. And so I'm lining up promos, and I have some interesting promos. Some promos that different companies already have made that you can acquire through other ways. But there are some promos that you will see for the very first time in this Kickstarter. And so I'm pleased about those. Who do you think were the most 3 successful game designers in 2015? I don't know what you mean by that. If you're talking about money, I would not know. I mean, it could be, it's the guy who designed Exploding Cats. But if you mean by like critically acclaimed, Eric Lang for sure. Probably Bruno Catala again. He just seems to just be on fire there. Well, Kramer has come back and has been publishing a decent amount of games. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think about it. But that's an interesting thing to look at. Inkheart. Yes, that's the book that my daughter's reading right now. Inkheart, thank you. Kai Our Lao. Wow, how did I forget Lao? You're right. Kai Our K. I think it's K or Kai. I think it's K. Kai Our Lao is my favorite character from BattleTech. There's always the problem of being so far behind in the comments that I talk about something, then like 20 minutes later, it's like, yes, that's the answer to that question. Let's see here. The best dice in my collection? I think I'll show that sometime in a video. That's a good thing I'll do sometime, like for Board Game Breakfast, like dice in my collection. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Who's better, Batman or Black Panther? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I like Black Panther a little bit better. I really like Batman, though. Please don't make me choose. I really like both of them, but for very different reasons. All right, so we are pretty much done at this point, so I'll answer a few last questions. I will not be at Grand Con in 2016. My apologies. Have you disliked the game purely for its dark theme, like Chaos in the Old World? I didn't dislike Chaos in the Old World for its dark theme. I just kind of brought it down for me. I thought the game itself was quite fine. Would your opinion of the game change if it was the same mechanically but brighter? Well, of course. I mean, that's the way it would be for anything. If I don't really like a theme of a game, then if the theme has changed, obviously I'm going to like it better, I think. So, is there a book series or book you'd love to see made into a board game? I don't think so. I don't normally read books and think, oh, I wish that was made into a board game. Sometimes I think I read a book and I'll be like, ooh, I'd love to see this as a movie. But I don't know that I've ever read a book and thought, oh, I wish this was a movie. Is there a problem with the Dice Tower website? I got a lot of errors on the home page. I should hope not. Let's check it out. It's working for me. Maybe you can send it, always when you have these things, email us and I'll send it to the webmaster, send a picture of the error, and we'll try to get it fixed right away. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for today, folks. That's an hour worth of questions, and I still have a lot of reviews to get done. Like I said in my Board Game Breakfast video this morning, I'm really excited about what's coming up this week. Our top 10 experiences from 2015, gaming experiences. The Battling Tops video, the live playthrough of Time Stories Marcy Case. A lot of reviews. We'll get those top 10 drama movies because you know you guys want to argue with us about those. I'm sure you will. So that's all coming out this week. So I'm excited about that. And we'll be working on stuff for next week too. So, all right. Well, until next time, guys, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching the Dice Tower Live. And until next time, I've already said my name, so I'll see you then. La la la.